There, gleaming in the flashlight's beam, was a small golden figurine sitting on the altar, about the size of a person's hand, intricately carved, depicting an ancestor in royal regalia, and it was golden, actual gold. Chidi, Amara breathed. That's real gold. It has to be worth millions, Chidi whispered, his eyes wide. Small but solid gold. Forget Mama's savings, this is our jackpot. But Amara hesitated, staring at the figurine's face. Its tiny eyes seemed to watch them. Chidi, this is the family shrine. This figurine is probably our great-great-great-grandfather or something. So what? He's dead. He's not using it. But nothing. Listen, we take this to Lagos, find one of those antique dealers in Lekki, sell it for at least 2 million naira, split it 50-50, and live our best lives. This is better than suffering in this village eating fish with eyes. Amara looked at the figurine again. It was beautiful, small enough to fit in her palm, and definitely worth a fortune. It's so small, easy to hide. Exactly, nobody will even know it's missing for days, maybe weeks. They approached the altar carefully. As soon as Chidi's hands touched the figurine, a cold breeze swept through the shrine, making the door slam shut behind them. Did you feel that? Amara whispered, her voice shaking. It's just wind. It's barely heavy. Come on. Chidi picked up the small golden figurine. It fit perfectly in his palm, warm to the touch despite the cold shrine. They quickly wrapped it in one of their Christmas wrappers, the ones they had complained about, and Chidi stuffed it deep into his jeans pocket. As they turned to leave, the figurine's voice rang out from Chidi's pocket, clear, sharp, ancient. Return me to my place. Both twins screamed. It's talking, Amara shrieked. The figurine is talking. Shut up, Chidi, he hissed, slapping his pocket as if the figurine would obey. Ancestors don't talk. This is just our imagination. Return me, children of Adeze. You have committed abomination. Run. Chidi grabbed Amara's arm. Just run. They burst out of the shrine and sprinted through the darkness, the figurine still crying out from Chidi's pocket. Return me, return me. Why won't it shut up? Amara panted as they ran. I don't know. Maybe if I sit on it. You can't sit on an ancestor. Well, it's screaming from my pants, so clearly normal rules don't apply. They reached the house, sweating and terrified, and Chidi pulled the wrapped figurine from his pocket and shoved it deep into his backpack under the bed. The statue finally went quiet. They looked at each other, breathing hard. Did that just happen? Amara whispered. No, Chidi said firmly, patting his empty pocket nervously. We are just tired and hungry, and this village is making us hallucinate. Tomorrow, we take the figurine to Lagos, sell it, and forget this ever happened. And what if it talks again? Then we will sell it faster. They tried to sleep, but every creak of the house, every whisper of wind made them jump. And somewhere in the darkness, wrapped in Christmas wrapper inside a backpack, under a bed, a small golden ancestor watched and waited. The next morning, December 26th, both Chidi and Amara woke up screaming, Mama, something is wrong. Their mother came running, her wrapper tied hastily, her face twisted with worry. What is it? What happened? My stomach. Chidi writhed on the floor, clutching his belly. It feels like something is burning inside. Mine too, Amara cried, tears streaming down her face. It's like I swallowed fire. Mama Adeze knelt beside them, panic rising in her chest. What did you eat? Tell me, what did you eat? Nothing, Chidi gasped. Just your food from yesterday. Impossible. I ate the same food. Everyone ate the same food. She touched their foreheads. You are both burning with fever. Neighbors started gathering at the door, their faces filled with concern and curiosity. What's wrong with them? Someone asked. I don't know, Mama Adeze cried. They just woke up like this. By afternoon, it got worse, much worse. Whenever they tried to bathe, their skin broke out in terrible rashes, red, angry welts that appeared the moment water touched them. Ah! Amara shrieked, jumping out of the basin. "The water is burning me!" "How can water burn you?" Mama Adaeze asked, bewildered. "I don't know, but it does. Look." She showed her mother her arm, covered in hives. The same thing happened to Chidi, and when they tried to drink water, their stomachs clenched in agony and they vomited immediately. "This doesn't make sense," Mama Adaeze said, wringing her hands. "How can you be thirsty but not drink water? How can you be dirty but not bathe?" "Maybe they are allergic to village water," a neighbor said. "City children, too delicate." "Delicate?" Mama Adaeze snapped. "They grew up drinking this same water." By evening, both children were lying on mats in the parlor, their lips cracked from thirst, their bodies covered in rashes, moaning in pain. The whole village was talking about it. "I heard they tried to eat jollof rice and their throats closed up," one woman whispered. "I heard they can't even look at water without screaming," another added. "What kind of sickness is this?" "This is not ordinary sickness," an elder said darkly. "This is something else." That night, unable to sleep, Mama Adaeze decided to pray in their children's room. She knelt beside Chidi's bed, asking God and the ancestors to reveal what was wrong with her children. As she prayed, her hand accidentally knocked against something under the bed. She pulled it out. A backpack, heavy. Frowning, she opened it. Her heart stopped. Wrapped in the Christmas wrapper she had given them, the one they had mocked, was a small golden figurine, hand-sized but heavy. The figurine of her grandfather, the most sacred object in their family's history. Her hands trembled as she unwrapped it completely, the tiny carved face staring up at her with knowing eyes. "No, no, no." She ran to Amara's room and found the second backpack, empty, but smelt of the shrine, incense, and old earth. The truth hit her like a thunderbolt. They had stolen from the ancestors. Her children had committed abomination. She sat on the floor, the golden statue in her lap, and wept, not just from fear but from shame. How had she raised children who would do this? How had greed taken them so far that they would steal from their own grandfather's shrine? "Mama Adaeze," a voice came from the doorway. It was Mama Ngozi, the oldest woman in the village, the one who remembered all the old stories. "They took it, didn't they?" Mama Ngozi said softly, looking at the small golden figurine cradled in Mama Adaeze's hands. Mama Adaeze could only nod, tears streaming down her face. Mama Ngozi sighed deeply and sat beside her. "Then you know what this means. The sickness is not a sickness, it's a curse. The ancestors are punishing them for desecrating the shrine." "What do I do?" Mama Adaeze sobbed.
"They're dying, Mama Ngozi. My children are dying." "There's only one thing to do," Mama Ngozi said, her voice heavy with ancient knowledge. "Before the 7th day ends, you must take them to the Dibia. Only he can appease the ancestors now." The village Dibia lived deep in the forest, in a compound surrounded by clay pots and carved wooden figures that seemed to watch visitors with knowing eyes. Mama Adaeze had to hire 4 young men to carry her children on mats because they were too weak to walk. The golden statue was wrapped carefully and placed at their feet. The Dibia was ancient, his face wrinkled like old leather, his eyes cloudy but somehow able to see everything. He took one look at the children and began to laugh, not a kind laugh, but the kind of laugh that said, "I told you so," without words. "So," he said, his voice raspy but strong, "the city children have returned and they brought trouble with them." "Please, Baba," Mama Adaeze begged, falling to her knees. "Save my children. They didn't know what they were doing." "Didn't know?" The Dibia's eyebrows shut up. "They didn't know that stealing from a shrine is wrong? They didn't know that taking the golden grandfather would anger the ancestors?" He turned to Chidi and Amara, who lay on their mats, barely conscious. "Let me tell you something about greed," the Dibia said, leaning on his staff. "Greed is like a rat that eats from the inside. First, it eats your gratitude. Then, it eats your respect. Then, it eats your sense. And finally, if you let it, it eats your life. He paused, studying them with those cloudy eyes that somehow saw too much. You came to your mother's house, the woman who suffered for 3 years to bring you home. And the first thing you thought about was, what can we take? And when you found the golden grandfather, small enough to hide in a pocket, sacred enough to protect a family, you saw only money. Chidi tried to speak, his voice barely a whisper. We just wanted money. The Dibia finished. You wanted money, but what you got was a curse. He struck his staff on the ground 3 times. The ancestors are angry. The golden grandfather is angry. You treated him like merchandise, like something to sell in a Lagos market for profit. You wrapped him in cloth like common goods and planned to trade him to strangers. The Dibia walked around them slowly, the shells on his staff rattling. Do you know what that figurine represents? He asked. That is your great-great-grandfather, a warrior, a chief, a man who built this family with his own hands. Small as he is, he carries the power of generations. And you, his own blood, wanted to sell him like a piece of jewelry in a Lagos market. Amara began to cry, tears running down her cracked lips. We're sorry, she croaked. We didn't think. That's the problem. The Dibia's voice rose like thunder. You didn't think. You never think. You just want, like hungry spirits with no home. Mama Adache wept silently, her head bowed in shame. The Dibia's voice softened slightly. But the ancestors are not without mercy. They remember that you are young, foolish, blinded by city life and greed. They remember that you are the children of Adache who has served them faithfully. He looked at Mama Adache. For your sake, Mama Adache, for the respect you have shown, the ancestors will give them one chance. One. He turned back to the children. On the 7th day, which is tomorrow since you fools stole the statue 6 days ago, a cleansing ritual must be performed. The golden grandfather must be returned with full ceremony, and you, he pointed at Chidi and Amara with his staff, must confess publicly before the entire village, and you must accept your punishment. What punishment? Chidi whispered fearfully. The Dibia smiled, but it wasn't a pleasant smile. That the ancestors will decide. News spread through Udell village like wildfire. By noon on December 31st, the 7th day, everyone had gathered at the family shrine behind Mama Adache's house. The entire village, all of them. Some came out of concern, others came out of curiosity. A few came hoping to see divine justice with their own eyes. The shrine had been cleaned and prepared. Fresh palm fronds decorated the entrance. White chalk marked the ground in sacred patterns. Clay pots filled with offerings, kola nuts, alligator pepper, palm wine and gin sat in a circle around the altar. Chidi and Amara were carried out on mats, barely conscious. Their bodies were gaunt, their skin still covered in rashes, their lips cracked and bleeding. They looked like they had aged 10 years and 6 days. The village fell silent as the Dibia began the ritual. He poured libations, chanting in the old language, calling upon the ancestors to hear their plea. He broke kola nuts, shared them with the elders, and poured palm wine on the ground for those who had gone before. Then he commanded, "Bring forth the golden grandfather." Mama Adache, hands shaking, brought the basket forward, carefully lifted the small figurine and placed it reverently on the altar. The moment the figurine touched the altar, a strange thing happened. The air grew heavy. The wind stopped blowing. Even the birds in the trees fell silent. "Now," the Dibia said, his voice cutting through the silence like a blade,
Let them confess. Two young men helped Chidi and Amara sit up. Their voices were hoarse, broken, but they spoke. We stole from the shrine, Chidi rasped. We took the golden grandfather, Amara added, tears streaming down her cracked lips. We greedy, Chidi continued. We wanted to sell him in Lagos. We dishonored our family, Amara sobbed. We dishonored our mother. We dishonored the ancestors. We didn't appreciate what we had. Chidi's voice cracked. We only wanted more, more, more. We are sorry, they said together, their voices breaking. We are sorry, please forgive us. The confession hung in the air like smoke. The Dibia raised his hands to the sky. Ancestors of this house, you have heard them. They confess their greed. They confess their disrespect. What say you? Death or mercy? For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the small golden figurine began to glow, faintly at first, then brighter, until the tiny form lit up the entire shrine like a small sun. The crowd gasped and stepped back. A voice emerged from the figurine, deep, ancient, powerful, impossibly large for something so small. They are young and foolish, but they are our blood. We do not wish them death. Everyone held their breath. But they must learn. They must pay. The Dibia nodded solemnly. What is the price, grandfather? 7 years, the voice boomed. For 7 years they will return home every Christmas, not to take, but to give. They will serve this village. They will feed the hungry. They will help the elders. They will repair what is broken. They will work with their hands, not their greed. The statue's glow intensified. And if they fail, the Dibia asked, if they fail, if greed returns to their hearts, if they dishonor us again, the voice grew cold, echoing from the small glowing form. The curse will return tenfold, and next time there will be no mercy. The glow faded, and the statue became ill and silent once more, just a small golden piece sitting on the altar. Then the Dibia took a calabash filled with blessed water mixed with bitter herbs. He made Chidi and Amara drink it. They gagged, coughed, but swallowed. He marked their foreheads with white chalk in the pattern of the ancestors. He washed their hands and feet with water from the shrine, and then he commanded, "Rise." For a moment, nothing happened. Then Chidi's eyes snapped open. Color rushed back to his face. The rashes began to fade like morning mist. Amara's cracked lips healed. Her skin cleared. They could breathe. They could move. They were alive. Mama Adache screamed with joy and threw herself at her children, hugging them so tightly they could barely breathe. But this time, they hugged her back just as tightly. The village erupted in celebration. Some people cried, others clapped. Someone started singing a hymn of thanksgiving. But the Dibia raised his staff, and everyone fell silent again. "Remember," he said, looking directly at Chidi and Amara, "the ancestors have shown you mercy, but mercy is not weakness. You have been given a second chance. Do not waste it." He tapped his staff on the ground 3 times. "Now, go, and when you return next Christmas, come not as thieves, but as servants." 2 days later, as Chidi and Amara prepared to return to Lagos, the village gathered to see them off. But this time, something was different. The twins were different. They knelt before their mother, forehead touching the ground in full traditional respect. "Mama," Chidi said with voice thick with emotion, "forgive us." "For everything," Amara added, "for being ungrateful, for complaining, for stealing, for being greedy, for forgetting what you sacrificed for us." Mama Adache called them up, tears streaming down her face. "You are my children. I forgive you. I always forgive you. But," she looked at them sternly, "never forget this lesson." "We won't, Mama," they said together. As they walked to catch the bus, no fancy hired taxi this time, villagers stopped them. Remember what the Dibia said? One elder called out. 7 years, another reminded them. We'll see you next Christmas, a young boy shouted, and you better come ready to work. Chidi and Amara waved, smiling, real smiles this time, not fake ones. On the bus ride back to Lagos, they sat quietly watching the village disappear behind them. You know what's funny? Amara said after a long silence. What? That we came home looking for money and we left with a 7-year commitment. Chidi laughed, a real laugh, the kind that came from the belly.
Worst business deal ever. The ancestors really played us. They really did. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Then Chidi said quietly, but I'm glad they did. We were becoming, I don't know, something ugly. Amara nodded. Like those people we used to laugh at. The ones who forget where they came from. Yeah, exactly like them. Another silence. So Amara said, next Christmas, we're actually coming home to work? Looks like it. Sweeping compounds, fetching water, helping old people, all of it. For 7 years, for 7 years. Amara sighed. You know what? I can live with that. Me too, Chidi said. Then he grinned. Besides, imagine Uncle's face when we tell him we can't spend Christmas with him for 7 years because we have to serve a village as punishment for trying to sell our dead grandfather. Amara burst out laughing. He's going to think we've lost our minds. We kind of did. But we found them again. They laughed together. Real, genuine laughter that felt better than anything greed had ever bought them.